Hey guys, and thanks for joining us on the Extra Digest. I am joined by Jeannie today from Levvy, who is the CEO and founder of Levvy as well. I'm going to let you introduce yourself because I think that's always good to tell us, CEO and founder, Levvy, but tell us what Levvy is and what led you to being the CEO and founder of it.
Great. Well, thanks. Great to be here. Levvy is a practice management tool. It's literally the tool that I wished I could have found in the market for my firm. So I ran a firm for 20 years, and through that time we were scaling pretty quickly, and it was like the wheels falling off the bus. It was literally like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. So we started using different practice management tools, and we just didn't have enough visibility. They were always missing, something kind of critical that would keep the team coming back together. So we decided to build it ourselves, and then that was, it's a whole journey in and of itself.
So I want to talk about Levvy in a minute. I want to start by saying to you, a lot of people say this, you ran a firm for 20 years. That was the pain point of why you built the software. But tell me more about that journey of running a firm. Where was that? How big were you? Did you grow the firm? When did you kind of come out of that? Or are you still in that? Tell me that journey of how that happened.
Sure. Yeah. So I started, I was working in New York City. My background is in fine arts, and I was working with some really famous artists, managing their studios, and I fell in love with that kind of work. And at the time, because of the way the art market was really, there was a lot of momentum. There was a lot of like price increases. The artists went from starving artists to millionaires overnight, and that created a whole bunch of different problems to solve. And what I found was, creatives just didn't have any connection to the business world at all. And so trying to find, accountants, lawyers, bankers, lenders, to work with my artists, they wouldn't take these businesses seriously. So I had to go in and say, this artist made 2 million this year. He's going to make 7 million next year. You need to take these businesses seriously. And that became my role, and I really loved it. It was a really exciting time. There weren't many people doing that back then.
So you had that niche. You had the niche of the art.
It was instant niche. Just word traveled fast, and literally it grew so quickly. I hired people, and we were kind of off to the races.
Was that based all in New York at the time, or was it over the States as a whole? I guess you serviced over the States, but your office was in New York.
Yeah, our office was in New York, and it was in Brooklyn. And we just scaled from there. But we do have clients all over the world. So at this point,
And you must have some stories. That's all I'm going to say from kind of you said, these artists and their business. But how did you find that? Did you enjoy dealing with artists? Was that something you found easy and kind of playing that, not middle ground, but being able to help them within business, maybe where other people couldn't because they couldn't relate to them or talk on that level?
Absolutely, yeah. Right. I think because I had the background and also, I say this a lot, that I feel like the practice of making art and being an entrepreneur is very similar. Artists start with a blank canvas or an empty space, and then they start working, making the work, and the work starts speaking to them, and it takes on its own momentum. Business owners start with an idea. There's nothing there. There's no infrastructure, right? They're building it all from the ground up. That takes a very special kind of mindset, because you're in the dark, right? You don't know. You're just trusting the process, and you're listening to the feedback that you're getting from the thing that you're creating. And so for me, understanding the practice of art from being an artist, I knew, where I could tell where they needed support and where I didn't need to interrupt them, right? So,
So you did that. So did you stay within that niche the whole time, or did you have clients outside of that?
So what happens is that when you do something like accounting for creatives, word travels, and, my clients had architects building houses for them, and they had designers and fashion designers. So essentially we just grew in the creative industry. So we have a lot of architects, we have a lot of interior designers, we have a lot of creative agencies, makers, brands on e-commerce.
And is the accounting firm still there today?
Still thriving, yeah.
So just to touch on that, I guess then Levvy may not have been known at the time what the name was, I don't know, but did you build that internally first to help your accounting firm and come up from that pain point? So how did that idea, like, when did that start materializing, when you actually started building something for your own internal firm?
So we had been cycling through a bunch of different practice management tools. It's the first question everyone asks, like, why would you build a practice management tool when there's like 40 available? And it's like, they're just not. What you need to run an advisory firm is a context-rich environment. You need to be capturing and layering this client knowledge, or else it's going to walk out the door, right, when someone leaves. And I'm talking about things like, don't send Bob Excel, he hates it, only send him Google Sheets. Like, those are the diamonds that you want to retain, because the second someone sends Bob an Excel report, if someone's on vacation, if someone's having, Bob's going to go, who's working on my stuff, right? Firm owners know this, but it's hard to translate that to your team. Visibility is another big issue, like not really knowing where the work was at. Like, I know what was planned, but what stage is the work at? Is it moving at a velocity that I was hoping it was going to move at? Do these people know how to do this work? Were they trained well enough? That visibility into how the firm is operating is very hard to find in the existing practice management tools. So we really wanted to surface all that.
Just touch on a few points you said there. So obviously, I guess you're mentioning some features that you feel are very in Levvy and already there. So obviously, I think you bang on right, is that having the right information for your clients is almost the human touch point. How do you have notes of that human touch point already? You know, like you mentioned Bob and the Google Sheet or Excel. I think for one of us is like, I remember we in our company especially, a bit different, but running next year, you know, we want to send gifts. You know, so and so's vegan, for example. So you're sending maybe you want to send a box of chocolates, and it's the right kind of chocolates, you know, and having that somewhere. And is that what you believe? Then another little point just on that feature specifically. Is that something that you think strong in Levvy and kind of having that information?
Absolutely, it's core.
And was that from a personal point of view in the accounting firm?
Trying to train my team to be advisors. You know, we have this internal culture of like, think like a CFO, you know, not a bookkeeper. And so there's the technical, you know, the technical knowledge, which is really super important, right? It's sort of, you have to have that as a baseline. But the team members that excel, that people literally get referred to, I want to work with this person. I want to work with this person. My friend works with Maria. She's amazing. I want to work with her. They get referrals just because they're so amazing. And the one thing that they have in common is they love the work so much. They love the work they do, but they know everything about their clients, everything, where the kids go to college, when the birthdays are, where they went on vacation. And they make sure to sort of create a relationship that, you know, it just builds such deep trust that the client will open up about more things that they might be concerned about or that they might need. And as an advisor, there's nothing better than a client that you know, I always joke and say, like, a successful client will be, they're at the hair salon and they're going to call you up and they're going to say, Jean, should I cut bangs or not? Right? You want to be the first call. And when you have clients that feel that way about you and the work that you do, those relationships will go on and on and on. Like it's like a doctor. Like, the more a doctor gets to know you, the better their advice is. But if your clients are not giving you this information freely for whatever reason, you're going to have a limited view of their world. By creating a lot of trust and really being so interested in the people that you're working with, you will be exposed to a lot more, which makes your advisory skills even more powerful.
With talent shortages continuing to challenge firms, the .HQ helps your business scale through dedicated offshore professionals who work exclusively for you. From accounting and bookkeeping to audit and admin, Dot's offshore support gives you the capacity, consistency, and confidence to grow.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think accountants or are trusted with kind of people's businesses, people's finances. And if you can't remember little things about me, then why am I going to trust you with these bigger decisions, right? And you hit the nail on the head, and then that leads on to advisory and more of that personal connection and where you can then advise more. One of the things you said before that we kind of went on to all that though was that you said that kind of where work's up to, being able to manage a client really well in their workflows. And how do you Levvy differs from other kind of practice managers in that? How was that built to be different?
So Levvy so the way the workflows are actually architected, the way Levvy's architected, right from the very beginning, I was talking with the developers. They're this incredible like design development company in New York City at the time. And what I said to them was, I want this tool to surface information to me. I want it to capture information and I want it to surface. I want it to know why I'm there.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to drill down. And I was like, why do I always have to drill down into software? And they were like, it's because software is built on the shoulders of what came before. Or the original, productivity tools were filing systems.
Mm-hmm.
So most tools, if you think about it, are filing task, subtask, subtask, right? By the time you get to subtask, you've lost all the context. It disappears. And you have to piece it back together. I wanted everything to be surfaced. And to have it surfaced and have everything in the work, we had to build a scheduling service, which is what the developers call it, the scheduling service. Basically, the work travels throughout time, because they're reoccurring, with all the tools, all of that knowledge, layering. So then you introduce AI to that very context-rich environment. The AI features, they can read like what changed from doing this same workflow from a year ago to now. How has this changed? Has the time changed? The time it takes, the complexity, has it changed? What's been successful? Our system will train a new person on a client in such a deep way that they will start to understand, like, don't send them, make sure you send this one the vegan chocolate. Yeah. Right?
So you've hit that. We mentioned the AI. We've dropped the ball of AI, which is happening a lot at the moment. So, and a lot of people are using it. But how is it in Levvy? Then you've touched on it slightly there. But what features have you got using it, and how has that been built in? Is that something you've built yourself, or is it kind of piggybacking off other AI? Tell me more about it.
So we're right. We have a whole AI strategy, and for me, I'm not a technologist. Like I come from an operator point of view.
Yep.
So I guess it's less, it needs to work. Like it needs to have a purpose for being there. Mm-hmm. Right. And, this idea that people would like prompt it to get information seems silly to me because people are terrible at that anyways. So the way that we think about AI is that it's like the practice manager.
Okay.
The AI thinks like me. Where's the risk? Where should I start my day? How should I pay attention to this? What do I need to know? Right. So we're coming at it from a very, I don't know if it's like just, I think a much more strategic place where you're not going to prompt the AI. You can ask follow-up questions, but the AI practice manager is actually going to be telling you what you need to focus on this week.
And I haven't asked this yet, so it's probably sure this one. What country are you currently kind of operating in? Is it just a US focused product at the moment? Are you global? Tell me more.
No, yeah, we're operating in 9 countries.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we're in the UK, we're in Ireland, we have users of some big firms in South Africa, in Canada, the US. We have users in Slovakia, Mongolia. Yeah.
And from a product point of view, do you feel it has to be any different, or do you feel it can just generally work globally? Is there any differences you're seeing in people using the practice manager on your side? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it's so far it's working. I'm actually so surprised that we have as many users around the world. It's really gratifying because it's built for a global team, all the different time zones, and it's local. It has, local currency, local addresses, local localization. But yeah, I feel like I feel like we could do more. We could go deeper with our global users. I'm not sure what they would need, like, I guess it's a really bad answer. Like, I don't really know. Like,
what we know is obviously you're US focused, you're US team, and maybe that growth happened organically into these other countries, and is the next phase for you guys maybe to spending more time in seeing what you can give the UK clients more? Or
absolutely, yeah. I would love to expand it to the UK for sure.
So you've organically grown that UK. So at the moment, it's kind of like you're right. You almost need to. It's good you will grow organically, but maybe kind of speak to a few of these firms and pick their brains on, what could we do more for you?
Absolutely.
So exciting times ahead is what I'm hearing there. On the roadmap to do it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So obviously we're currently at scaling new heights. How have you found the event so far? Something you mentioned to me before we start recording is people know who we are, and that's a nice feeling, right? So tell me more about how it's been on the show floor and how you found it.
Well, I think Woodard does a fantastic job for their vendors at the show. They are the audience is super primed for technology. It is like the best tech show. Well, I guess I'm not going to say, I guess the best for a vendor to be at, because they make a big effort to bring, bring people through the vendor hall. They're very conscious of that. And I think they do a really nice job. Our booth was packed all day yesterday and today. People come with very precise questions, things that they're looking for. So not only are we able to meet with customers who are truly looking for a solution that is in our category, but we're also able to hear their pain points, right? We're able to have these great conversations. And what I think about shows like this is there's the community, which is amazing. It's so fun to end the show, go upstairs to the lobby bar, and it's like, whoa, it's like walking into like football stadium. It's like so fun. Is that people truly love this industry. They love their jobs. They love the work they do. And they just want it to feel better, either for their employees or their customers. And, that kind of problem solving, learning mindset, like that, those people are here, and those people are amazing customers.
Create capacity and scale with confidence through dedicated offshore professionals from the .HQ.
I guess from your background, though, you can think of someone approaches, I was that accountant, I can be that accountant that approaches the kind of the
I'm the worst salesperson. I'm a terrible salesperson.
I don't think so far from this you have been, so that's good to know.
I'm very, very tell me all about what you're tell me about your firm, what are you doing? And then I'm like, okay, this is what Levvy's great for that.
So big question about Levvy. We spoke about maybe the UK or other countries being on the roadmap a bit more, but is there any exciting features you think in the next 12 months that you guys are going to kind of improve on, bring out? Anything you want to kind of share, you can share?
Yeah, I mean, we launched our, so we had 3 big releases this year so far. So we did the email integration. We did the client loop, which is our client portal. We took our time with those because we wanted to make sure that our users were part of that process. People are passionate about their client portals. So we wanted to make the best one, the best one in the market. And we move a little slower, I think, than most companies, but I feel like in the long run, it'll be the right reason, because we have our users as partners in this. Those 2 are great features, but we also released our first agentic workflow. And that is, that was a big effort, and it really had us accelerating a lot of our plans for AI. Like, we literally took our year 3 roadmap, pulled it into year 2. And so I'm really looking forward to rolling out the rest of the agentic workflow library. It's going to be amazing.
Is there any feature that someone's mentioned to you and a pain point or a feature that one you've had over the conference and you've gone, wow, that's something I've never thought about or something we can incorporate anyhow?
No, I don't think so.
You must be doing something right. That's what it says. If
Yeah.
no one's put anything up right, say you must be doing something right. So so one of the things I was going to say is, though, because you wear this hat yourself as well, over the next 12 months, what is the biggest pain point you see accountants facing, and what would the advice be to them?
Every single person I talk to is having a really hard time with the workforce. It's
Yeah.
really tough out there finding good people. Yeah, it's almost perplexing how difficult it is to, build a strong team. And I think, the accounting industry is realizing some missteps in, their lack of making this industry really represent how interesting and exciting and innovative that it can be. Is that we don't have enough people going into this business, into this industry, young people, and it's forcing firms to really consider a more global workforce.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're going to see more of that. And I think that's why the, operationalizing AI is very important to a lot of firms, because they actually have massive capacity problems. Yeah.
And I'd love to ask, because speaking to you today, you've got a really interesting story. So in your journey so far, what bit of advice has someone gave you, you think, wow, that's been a bit of advice that shaped me or like stuck with me to today still? And who gave you that advice?
So there's two, there was two really meaningful moments in my career, which has been long and windy. I lost a very big client early on. I was about 4 years into my firm, and I had grown this business with this business owner, and they fired me, and it was devastating. It was like the most devastating experience of my life, and which is a blessing, I guess, if that's the most devastating. But I had a mentor at the time, he's still a dear friend, this accountant that was, because back then there wasn't this kind of community. So I just called him up sobbing, and he worked with this client too. And I said, look, she just fired me. And he said, that's business. He's like, it's going to happen. He's like, you've got to play this long game that clients come and go, employees come and go. You have to love yourself for starting a business, because that's the hardest thing to do. But all this other stuff, it comes and goes. So just focus on the future. Just feel the feelings and move forward.
And you've definitely moved forward, right? And
I moved forward, and I was really, it kind of came across as he kind of pushed me. He was kind of like, yes.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I feel like we've managed to cover a lot about, a little bit about you, about the product. But one of the most important questions I've been finishing with, which I'm not quite sure everyone's excited as me, because maybe because I'm British, who's going to win the World Cup?
You can't ask me that question. I don't know. Argentina.
We've got an answer though. Most people haven't answered us. We're seeing it first. Argentina's going to. It's actually not a bad shout either. So
I feel like Argentina. I met this firm owner here who's Argentinian.
Yeah.
And she convinced me that Argentina's going to.
There we go. Then Argentina's going to win the World Cup. We'll end on that.
Okay.
Amazing. Thank you.